Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody who has joined, or it is almost towards evening. So good evening to everyone who has joined today. This is Ramanan, Mission Director of Atal Innovation Mission. Always a pleasure and a privilege to connect with all the young budding innovators from various schools across the country, the teachers who are encouraging them every step of the way, the principals who are helping to manage the Atal Tinkering Labs across the nation, as well as mentors and parents who are very vital in this entire journey of innovation for our young budding innovators. Thank you so much for joining. We are conducting once more an Atal YouTube live session that we have been doing ever since the COVID-19 crisis began. And that is one of the positive side effects, not COVID positive, but the positive side effect of having these digital webinars and YouTube sessions that have sprung alive during the time of the COVID-19 crisis. And indeed, we are tremendously enthused by your participation, because if your participation is not there, then none of these things make sense. And it has been incredible to see the number of young students participating, joining in all these sessions. We launched several modules during the COVID-19. We launched modules like game development modules along with DELL technologies. We launched app development modules along with both Plasmo and NASCOM. We launched AI modules, basic and step-up modules with a group of companies supported by NASCOM. And then we launched 3D design modules with NIC. We also launched digital creativity modules with Adobe. And we then launched several community day challenges for you to leverage all these learnings that you are getting from all these Tinker from Home modules and apply them. And we got tremendous response from every one of you. But of course, in all of these journeys, none of them would have been possible without the active support of our partners. I think Atal Innovation Mission initiatives are totally dependent, in a manner of speaking, with the way our partners have been supporting and encouraging us in our journey. Because there are 4 elements to the journey of Atal Innovation Mission itself as a mission. Number 1 is the mission of education. How do we educate our young budding innovators of the potential they have in them and enable them to become innovators, which our country needs. We have more than 1.3 billion people. We have more than 65% of our country under 35 years old. And you are part of the future of our country. And therefore, it is very important for us to convert ourselves from a nation of just job seekers to a nation of job creators. And you are going to be the job creators of the future. You're going to be the architects of Atmanirbhar Bharat that the Honorable Prime Minister talks about. You are going to allow your imagination to fly high and create solutions that we need. But when we want to do all of this, our corporate partners come to our support to enable this. So first is the education part. Second is the enabling part. The enabling part is by various platforms that we are providing. We are providing the Atal Tinkering Labs in your schools. We are providing incubators to universities. We are setting up community innovation centers in rural India, tier 2, tier 3 cities. And we provide platforms for challenges to be launched and innovations to be submitted so that we can identify startups who have solutions for specific challenges that we have in India. And these are all the enabling platforms. But one very strong enabling platform is our corporate partnerships. And you have the leaders of some of our very, very steady corporate partners who are here today. We have Mr. Nirbhay Lumde from CGI. CGI. We have Mr. Pratap from Capgemini. We have Elizabeth, who is from one of our incubators. We also have Ramjee Pallela from one of our incubators. Elizabeth heads the incubator at Great Lakes Management Institute, the AGBI incubator. Ramjee Pallela heads the incubator at CCMB, which is the Center for Cellular Molecular Biology in Hyderabad. Both of them extraordinarily successful incubators. but all our incubators are partners in this journey, and they enable the student entrepreneurs, potential student entrepreneurs, to be able to realize their potential by running these student entrepreneur programs in their respective institutions and giving them the exposure to what it takes from becoming from an ideator to the creator of a solution and potentially a company. That's the journey of an entrepreneur. How do you take an idea that has been sparked by some problem that you have seen around, and then you create a solution, a prototype to begin with, and then you evolve it into a solution that is refined and mature. And then how do you launch it into the market in terms of a product or a service? And then how does that product or a service or a company become successful? And how does it scale up? That's when you have arrived. And therefore, this journey is very important for every potential innovator and startup entrepreneur to know. And that is where they help us facilitate in all of this. They have adopted tinkering labs across the country. So they help you even on site, even before you enter into the Atal Tinkering Marathon and win the competition and so on. They're encouraging you at that point itself. And then they are also co-investing their effort, their time, maybe their technologies into your tinkering lab so that they can become model tinkering labs for others to follow and for others to be able to pursue. And then they finally help in running these student entrepreneur programs to help you all succeed in your entrepreneurial journey. So it is wonderful to welcome all of them. As all of you are aware, we launched the Atal Tinkering Marathon 2021 in December of last year. This time we had the theme of Atmanirbhar Bharat in mind. And Atmanirbhar Bharat rests on 5 pillars that the Honorable Prime Minister talked about. The pillar of demographic dividend, which is how do we educate our people and how do we use technology for helping in the education. You know, we are a big country, still 22% of our country is below the poverty line. There are 115 districts which are aspirational districts. They don't have the benefit of great education. How can you imagine new solutions to be able to help in empowering this demographic dividend that we are talking about and leveraging it? You need skills, you need innovation hubs, you need all of that. You need distant education, you need digital transformations. There are so many possibilities of how you can bring education and innovations in education for addressing the demographic dividend. So that is one. The second is the pillar of infrastructure. We have 650,000 villages in our country and 715 districts, and we have only 8 tier 1 cities, and we have more than 4,800 small towns and cities. How do we create smart infrastructure across the country? Smart villages, smart districts, smart cities, smart states, smart metering, smart renewable management, and so on. There are so many opportunities for us to become a digitally smart country and thereby enable hubs of innovation and job creation in every one of these 4,800 small towns and cities. So that is a big challenge. And what are your ideas about it and how can you come up with solutions? The third pillar is the pillar of demand. With 1.3 billion people, we have tremendous demand. You name anything, whether it is jobs, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is in health, whether it is in transportation, whether it is in housing, whether it is in water management. There are so many needs that our country has. There is need for tribal handicrafts to be exported from our country. We want to reduce import dependencies. So there are many innovations that you can think about. So that's an area of, that's another pillar. The fourth pillar is pillar of socio-economic progress, where we are saying that it is not enough for us to grow from an economic point of view. We also have to bridge the social divide, the divide between the haves and the have-not, the digital divides. So what are your ideas and what are your innovative solutions for bridging this digital divide? Because if we don't bridge the digital divide, we will not progress as a country. And finally, the pillar of technology. Technology, 3D printing, robotics, IoT, electronics, augmented virtual reality. These are all the emerging technologies. AI, blockchain. How do you leverage technology? What innovative ways can you leverage technology for addressing any of the 5 pillars of Bharat? So that is the challenge thrown out to you. I'm sure we are going to see tremendous solutions from there. So far, we've been encouraged greatly with your responses. Please note that we are going to select 10 top innovations from every district. and you will get recognition at a district level. So I'm encouraging every ATL and every school to apply for the Atal Tinkering Marathon. We are also having special recognition where you have more than 25 innovations being submitted from one school. Is 25 a big number? No. In a school, typically you will have at least 500 to 600 students who are participating in, who are having an Atal Tinkering lab available for them, wherever there are Atal Tinkering labs. Because when we have selected the schools, we have ensured that you have more than 500 to 600 students in your grade 6 to grade 12. At the same time, you can also encourage 4 or 5 schools from the community to be able to participate in that. And therefore, you have the ability to, and we want to encourage it. And we want to see who has been very proactive and recognize it. Because recognition is a very important part of what we do. And similarly, we'll also be recognizing teachers and principals who are enabling this entire ecosystem excitement of innovation. So with that, let me now turn over to our panel. First and foremost, I want to thank the panel of industry leaders who are supporting us. Thank you so much, Anuragji, Nirbhay, Elizabeth, Ramjee, for participating. Let me start off with Mr. Anurag. Anurag, how is your organization looking at supporting innovation, entrepreneurship, and recognizing innovation entrepreneurship? Particularly, we thank you very much for partnering with us. How do you think young students who are out there listening can benefit with this association?
Thank you, Dr. Ramanan. And I was listening to you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It was very interesting listening to you when you were talking about trying to create architect of innovators there. And we follow in our CSR the whole principle of making every employee of us becoming architect of positive future. And I see a direct synergy between what you are aiming to do and what we are trying to do in our own spaces. It was fascinating to listen about the whole idea behind Atmanirbhar Bharat and how those 5 pillars are going to create the India that we all are aspiring for, the India that we all are dreaming for, and the India that we all want to create. So kudos to you, your team, and everyone who is part of this particular journey. Coming to the question that you asked, as a leader in digital transformation, we strongly believe that tech and innovation drive sustainable and social development. We are in this particular journey with all the energy that we have. Through the digital inclusion program that we are running in our CSR, we aim to be the bridge between the tech and the society. And in this particular sense, it fulfills the 5th pillar that you talked about, the pillar of technology. We strongly also believe that STEM education in India is much needed revolution in education space, because it has the potential to reshape the children's future. It has the potential to bring in the newer ideas, bring in the new thought process in his or her mind. And this learning of this strong belief is based on the idea of teaching meaningful skills and and to build the competencies for the young innovator, which will matter for employability, which will also contribute hugely into the entrepreneurship skill. And you have rightly pointed out that it's about job creation. It's not just about the jobs that we all are looking for. And I must say that ATL Marathon is a fantastic initiative by government, by Niti Aayog, understanding the value of innovation among the young mind, because this is the mind which is curious. This is the mind which is creative. This is the mind which is looking for changes. This is also the mind which is willing to collaborate. And this will certainly trigger the critical thinking to come up with the innovative solution to solve real life problems that communities are facing, problems that communities are looking for, where the solution can be created and which can help and mitigate the challenges that they are having. I also feel that the opportunity will enable them to get the opportunity to unleash their creativity and use that to create a solution which will benefit larger community.
Excellent. So that was really a very comprehensive, Anurag ji, because I think as you rightly pointed out, this is an opportunity for aligning not only the interests of the organization in your organization, and to build targets of the future from our country. And these students are potentially at some time going to probably get employed by your own organization. So this is the opportunity and the crucible, I would say, where you get inducted into this whole innovative thinking, problems that is useful to you, whether you're a job, even in a job seeking position. You need to be innovative to make a difference. Otherwise, you're just one of those various employees who just join an organization. But the moment you are innovative, you question the status quo, you're curious, and you say, why not this way instead of this way? You are already on the upper mobility trend. And people are going to be, looking at you and saying, hey, this guy is more proactive, or this girl is more proactive, and she's questioning things that we have been just accepting as default. And this change is welcome. So let's go to Nirbhay ji. Nirbhay, CGI, you are the director of various initiatives in CGI, and very innovative organization itself. Dabbling in technology and leveraging technology very effectively. Tell us your views on the future potential of these young student innovators in organizations, not just in CGI, but organizations like CGI. Or can they create a CGI of the future based upon your own analysis? Because that's what we want to create. We want to create job creators, right? So tell us a little bit about your the importance of this and the way you are viewing it at CGI.
Yeah, thank you, Ramanan, for that. I think it's good afternoon to the parents and to children and to panel members. It's fascinating to see these many children online and watching all of us. From an program point of view, so glad to be associated with Niti Aayog, more around the Atal Tinkering Labs. The journey has been really fruitful. It's been more than a year so far. Very, very excited, be it from the alignment of our own CSR goals, where we want to serve communities where we live and work, and also from an alignment of that we want to work with people, with the technology, and more on STEM education. How do we build employable students, and thereafter more on careers? More on your question, Ramanan. It's fascinating world. The world is changing quite fast. And what the skills that we had in the past or yesterday may not be applicable today, and we have to learn continuously. From that angle, I would see such of these opportunities, especially the marathon kind of thing, are really give them the head start for these students. That's number one. They give a much ahead the skills that's required for them to survive, not only survive, but thrive as together, not just as individual innovators, but work with the like-minded people. That's said that I also feel these platforms also help them to build their career, be more around the career focused, and see how the world realities are, and how they can look at the world from more realistic point of view, and how they can work towards addressing some of those challenges. As I heard from you, more on the Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think it's all about the innovation mindset, also about building, working collaboratively, looking at the local needs and challenges and addressing it locally. While as innovators, there are opportunities to build not just CGI, but many such corporations or innovative innovation driven enterprises. So these will only come from an high values. These could be innovation, entrepreneurship, or could be being more aggressive in nature. I think it's all about fail, but one can fail fast and learn quickly and move on to the next, instead of looking at things saying that, did I fail? Do I need to look back and see? I think it's all about looking way ahead, looking at local needs and challenges. Technology is a great enabler. It's also a leverage to not just about addressing it, but scaling up. Technology also at early stage, I'm sure the students are much more privileged than what we were. They have beautiful opportunities. They have mentoring programs. From a CGI point of view, I think these will give a head start for these students, real world experience so that they can work around it. The students can also build good friends, network. I think it's also about being immersed with a problem statement and then you can work around it. I think it's a world is limitless for them for opportunities. And this is only just a beginning of what they are going to see it. And they're at school level. I'm sure they have a college and the further. And these platforms are going to grow bigger. Really privileged here to be part of CGI and extend such an opportunity for students. We will have our own employees and leaders supporting these set of students. We'll have the mentoring opportunities and see what more could be done. Not while we wait for something to happen at the graduate level. I think we have young mindsets with lots of passion, energy. We'll catch them young and see what more could be done and how they can do more bigger, dream bolder, and drive what is in passion that they have and see what more could be done.
Excellent. I loved when you said you have to learn to dream bigger, be bolder, and achieve your dream and the realization of the dream through your creative potential and through your innovation. And I think you brought a very important set of points. One is this Tinkering Marathon gives you a head start into becoming an innovator. That is very important. Unless these challenges, you don't have to win anything. You just have to participate. By participating itself, you are a winner because you are breaking the mold of, I'm going to just sit down and watch the world pass by without being a problem solver. You want to be a problem solver. And that's such a great feeling to have, to become a problem solver, to become an innovator. And so you launch yourself on the journey, and that journey is a very exciting journey. The second thing that you mentioned was, in the process, you gather valuable skills not only to survive but to thrive. That is very important. You are acquiring new skills because you're learning these technologies, and tomorrow these technologies are going to be used. Now, not only that, you learn to learn. See, the learning is never a static process, or it's not a stagnant process. I've learned and then everything, I know everything. No, whatever we have learned in this digitally fast changing world is going to expire in a very short period of time, and new technologies are going to come. But your ability to learn, leveraging technology itself, leveraging YouTube and internet and so on, becomes so much better. And the third is, which you mentioned, which is very important, is you don't have to look at, so, when you look at all these 5 pillars that we talked about, just look at the world around you, immediate world around you, and see what problems are there associated with the infrastructure, with the demand, with the education, with the technology, and so on. And there comes a problem very well defined on a platter for you. And then when you have a well-defined problem, you have a well-defined solution and a well-defined innovation. So thank you so much, Nirbhay ji, for all those points that you made. Let me now go to our incubators. Our incubators are already there with a great set of startups. This is what my young student community wants to. And then these are leaders. So let me go to Ramjee to begin with. Ramjee, what is, you are leading, tell us something about your incubator so that everybody comes to know very briefly. But more importantly, what do you look for, that spark in the eye, the fire in the belly, and that capability that says this guy or this girl is a great innovator, is a potential to be a great innovator. And then you induct that as a startup in your organization, right? So it's not that you welcome everybody who says, I want to be a startup there, but you look for that something. And how is this Atal Tinkering Marathon going to enable our young students to have that something in that, in themselves, that fiery spark of innovation and igniting that curiosity? What would you look for? And how does this help? And how has your incubator helped people who have done in the marathon?
Yes.
Selection of top 300 teams for entrepreneurship program. So, it started off with 50 teams, it went on to 100, now it's going to 300. So it's scaling.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little more on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for this question. So I'm Ramjee. I work for the AIC CCMB as COO here to take care of all startup activities in healthcare and life sciences area. Till now we could able to support 40 plus startups and innovators which are into biopharma, in the medtech area, therapeutics, drug development, etc. Even nanotechnology also. I mean, being an incubator, the past 3.5 years, it's a great learning for us too. Thanks to Niti Aayog AIM, where a kind of support that actually encouraged a lot of innovators, not only startups, to touch our doors and knock our doors to look for various opportunities, be it a direct physical incubation or a virtual incubation, or at least in the pre-incubation mode to learn a lot of incubation activities and using our host organization's infrastructure as well, like CCMB, one of the premier science and technology laboratory in the country. So with that brief activities of incubation activities, I can say we also helped a lot of ATL school innovator groups in the past 1.5 to 2 years, where I think this is kind of game changing for the incubator, I can say, because the young minds, they come up with different problems we can't even think, and the groups are very enthusiastic, where you may be a bit slow when you compare yourself with them. And and another thing, the synergy. So what is that when you look into them is that pursuance. The idea is good, the enthusiasm is there, but as Ramanan sir mentioned, everybody who is knocking your door may not be a serious entrepreneur, but at the same time, what we see is that from these young innovators, the pursuance that we do, they have to bug us. I think this we want and this connection we need. And for your surprise, out of 7 teams that we coached in the past 1.5 to 2 years in these SIP 2.0 or 3.0, 4 have been shortlisted in the top 25 in the respective years, and a couple of them gone to Russia in the first boot camp that we have done it. I mean, this is where the commitment comes from us, our mentors, our team members, and our actually ATL champion. I can say one of our team members is Mr. Ashish Kumar, is a mechanical engineer, brilliantly connecting all the mentors and all the stakeholders at the right time, because it's a very limited time in that boot camp period, so that they have to show to the world we are the best, right? So I think what we see is that constant pursuance, sir. I think, when we are talking about an entrepreneur, as you all know, the wild idea and great execution with some persistence. I think these 3 intersection parts, if we can consider with a on-the-spot decision making, I think you're brilliant. You can go forward. So how these can be converted from these student entrepreneurs? Okay, great. You are selected in the top 25. You made an alpha or beta, fantastic. But how you want to set up an enterprise? This is a question where I think I'm trying to take help of probably AIM to look into a different way, where probably we have to have a conclaves with these top 25 innovators to create an ecosystem to compete within them, so build teams within themselves where their family members or other founding members, BTech students can be partnered. It's a kind of amalgamation can be planned nicely by incubators as well as AIM, so that we can actually form teams for setting up enterprises, where probably a couple of aspects before I close this answer, MSME kind of, prototyping facilities and also patenting. One of the teams, they're actually provisionally filing their patent. And, if they go forward at this stage, that's fair enough. Otherwise, they can sell the technology to the takers, right? And second aspect, other than these IP and prototyping facilities that we can create to become an entrepreneur, second thing is that probably since CSR colleagues are here, maybe some of the incubators can be identified to actually help these guys to build teams and connect to those prototyping facilities or validation platforms, maybe hospitals or environmental agencies or agricultural groups, so that they can actually validate them and take it forward with those small CSR funds. I think this is the kind of mapping or planning that we can do to make student innovators to become student entrepreneurs. So this is what I can add here.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much, Ramjee, for that elaboration on what is what help the young innovators get through an incubator, the type of exposure that they get to very passionate people like Ashish that you mentioned, who are out there, who are eager to, share their knowledge, and they get very excited when they see a young entrepreneur or a young innovator who is blossoming in front of their eyes. That's that sort of feeling you rarely get unless you see it yourself, right? And I think that is where and also for the ATL Tinkering Lab students, you get an opportunity to work in a place which is actually creating startups.
Yes.
So you're not going, this is not a theoretical idea in your mind. You're actually saying, oh, this is the startup world. These are the problems that they are facing.
Yes.
This is what I will also face if I become a startup. And therefore, how am I getting ready for that particular challenge going forward? And this learning is invaluable in your mind, because where do you get the practical exposure?
Absolutely.
You're getting the practical exposure of becoming a startup. Many of us at a senior level, we have never had that opportunity to go and live in that environment and learn from the practitioners.
Yes.
See, it is one thing to learn from theory from a teacher who has never started a startup, and it is another thing to learn from someone who is actually running a startup and or running an incubator. And that sort of knowledge that you get is unparalleled,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So excellent, and I think it is from a CCMB perspective that the young tinkering marathon teams that you coached and mentored were also able to get recognized internationally. The AIM Series challenge, where 25 teams from India went to Russia, and they got a fantastic exposure into what it means to be part of a global innovation environment. And we are making many of these things happen. Many countries are now collaborating with Atal Innovation Mission: Singapore, Israel, Sweden, Denmark, United States, and so on. They're all Australia. We are all now partnering with each other, and therefore the opportunities for young innovators is tremendous. Now, let me come to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, first of all, I want to thank you for being there, because you're the only lady in our panelists list. And we had Archana, but unfortunately she was not able to join. So we were supposed to have two of you on board, but because of the change of timing, she was not able to. But what is you're a very accomplished achiever. You have become the CEO of an incubator of startup, which is fantastic. There are so many girl students in our Atal Tinkering Labs. 70% of our Atal Tinkering Labs are in girls and co-ed schools. In the last Tinkering Marathon, 40% of them were winners. Girl students were winners. And therefore, this is a very encouraging thing for the girl students. And I want a very specific message from you to the girl students, to the teachers, to the principals. Most of the teachers are women. Most of the principals are also women in our schools. How would you look upon this Atal Tinkering Marathon as an opportunity for the schools, the teachers, the principals, and also the parents, the mothers, for example? Mother will always be saying, beta, please study for your exams and get good marks. And what is this innovation and all? Forget about it. So, because they may not realize that the student has that potential, her girl student has that potential. So how would you look upon this, and what is your take on this entire thing?
Thank you so much, sir. That was an amazing question. And first, before I get into it, for everyone who's watching, I just want to thank everyone here who's so instrumental to this change that we're seeing right before our eyes. And for me, working with these students across the SIP 2.0, 3.0 has been such a humbling experience because we feel that we are part of something big. And for the girls and for all the students actually that we interacted with, but especially the girls, the team, I think there were 2-3 teams of girls. They were so full of life, of energy. There was no stopping them, and that just reignited in me that kind of fervor of which we should all approach our work. What I really liked about them is that they did not want to exclude themselves. In fact, I feel many girls or women just feel that that dream is not for them. They feel that it is someone else's dream and they can be bystanders. And, they say behind every successful man, there's a woman. But why not, the woman be the successful one standing right beside the man? Because we all have our unique value to add and play. And so I think what the schools are doing at the ground level is really setting or laying the foundations for massive cultural change that has a ripple effect on every aspect, not just in startup and entrepreneurship, but all throughout from societal change. And especially the teachers for signing in for the ATLs and all these initiatives, not just as some activity that they you allow them to participate in, but really giving them the inputs, the time, opening up. And in fact, one of the last marathon was during COVID. They even opened up the school just for the teams to meet and just quickly do a little bit of tinkering in the lab and then get out. And I think that kind of support is amazing. And to the mothers out there, to the fathers out there that look at the girl child and see all that potential, I just want to honor you. And what we have learned, what the incubator and the startups alike who had the privilege of interacting with these students, we had them come over, stay with us for 5 days on campus, eat with the startups, just go to the field, visit, see their idea, talk to the customers, see how the idea would play out. What we learned is that children inherently are so inquisitive. And I would think if you would ask between a girl and a boy child, I think girls are even more inquisitive. They have that habit of asking why for everything. And as adults, we almost find that, little difficult to answer all these questions that they have. But the root of good problem solving is that understanding the whys behind the problems, and their inquisitive nature of getting to the root of problem, asking those whys as many times as it takes to get to the root of the problem, is something that is so critical to good ideation. And then their unique perspectives, the way that they're able to brainstorm, for us as adults, to come up with ideas, and they say nothing is a bad idea or no solution is a bad solution. It's actually hard for us to have a no filter attached. But for children, it comes so readily and easily for them to think in all kinds of creative ways. And I really appreciate for the ATLs, and what they are doing is to hone and harness that so that they continue, and as they grow up, they don't lose that very critical piece or that goes into solution development. So basically, I just want to just wrap up by saying that to all the children, especially the girls out there, don't be afraid. You may feel that there are this is not for you. You may feel that you're all alone on this journey, and but we are all here to support you. That's why we all exist. So seek the help. It's always there for you, and just be bold.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Elizabeth. I think you brought out some very, very important points. One is girl child. You bring unique perspectives that is not possible for the others. You bring this attention to detail, your ability to communicate more effectively, your curiosity, natural curiosity, which makes you question many, many things, and that's what is required. Innovation doesn't happen by not questioning. Questioning. It starts off with looking at the world and say, why like this and why not like that? Or what is so great about this and what is wrong about this? And that is that element of curiosity and then being able to question many things, that is innate to innovation. And then Also the ability to multitask. That's what I have found. Girls naturally are able to multitask. You have that unique ability which we find difficult. As boys, I have always found it more difficult to multitask. Whereas in my house, my wife is doing this, that. I am surrounded by 3-4 women in my own house, so I know exactly where I stand and what I'm capable of, and 90% of the stuff I'm not capable of, which they are doing. So I think there is a huge opportunity for the girl children, and I think it's very important from India perspective. India can show to the world how women entrepreneurs. We have, by the way, in Atal Innovation Mission, more than 30% of our startups are women-led startups. Now, that is a fantastic observation. Not so great. It should be 50%, but it is better than the country average, which is 13%. So in our country, we have only 13% as women entrepreneurs. And if you look at number of women leaders in our country, even though India has never held back, we have had a prime minister who was a president, who was a lady, the president. We have Nirmala Sitharaman, we have Smriti Irani, we have so many people leading, Tessie Thomas. So there are countless examples of women excelling and leading in various fields in the country, be it sports, be it music, be it games, be it politics, be it education, be it corporate sector like Indira Nui and Arundhati Bhattacharya and so on. They're all outstanding examples of women who are accomplished and who have come from very, very normal backgrounds, not from privileged backgrounds, but from normal backgrounds. And they've been able to rise to the very top. Similarly, every one of you have that opportunity. And the second thing is, we want to make sure that in a country where more than 50% of our population is women and 50% of the young people are women, that women can contribute to more than 50% or at least 50% of the growth of our country. And that will be an amazing growth in both in economic growth as well as societal growth. And the other thing that I believe women bring is the factor of empathy, which is much better. They are more compassionate by nature, more empathetic by nature, and that empathy is required for problem solving and innovation. If you don't have that, you cannot innovate because you don't realize the problems that the other person has. And so thank you so much for that, from that perspective, Elizabeth. I go back to Anurag. Anurag, you are working for one of the global companies. Please tell us what it means to be a global company. I mean, explain a little bit about Capgemini for the benefit of our audience, because it's such a large company across the world and now it's operating in India. But also how, companies serve customers. And for them, customer-centric thinking is very important. And when it comes to innovation also, it is customer-centric thinking that will drive innovation. So inferring or drawing upon the extraordinary need for large companies to be able to be constantly creative, to ensure that customer is engaged and finds value in the company. What are the lessons learned, and how do you transfer that learning into expectations that the Atal Tinkering Marathon participants should have?
Lovely question, Dr. Ramanan. But before I get in there, I must say that what Elizabeth said is so true, and what you brought in is also very pertinent. That women, they can move the earth if they so desire, and models like Elizabeth, the examples like some of the names that you quoted are, I'll say, reminders that the potential that they have is immense, and they have to compete with themselves rather than compete with men. Because I firmly believe that look into any result, look into any academic milestone that all of us are covering, they are the one who are getting the maximum laurels. Coming back to the question, Capgemini, we feel very proud that we are present in 40 plus countries. We feel very proud that we have more than 250,000 people who are working with us. We feel very proud that it's a company where we acknowledge people coming from multiple diverse background, and we will love to co-create, develop solutions which benefit client. Client for us, like any IT consulting group or IT development group or IT advisory group, client are I'll say the oxygen on which we survive, and their requirement, their needs, their challenges or their problems becomes the fulcrum of why we exist and the service that we provide. So you are completely right when you said that how client in the sense change the way we think. They are the one who are in the sense challenging us. We are also the one who provide them with some of the alternatives, some of the way forward, some of the models that we feel will be good to the challenges that they are proposing. And that's where I feel that there is a perfect synergy which exists between the client and us in terms of the expertise that we bring in, the knowledge that we bring in, and the capability that we bring in. And that in the sense talk hugely about the whole opportunity in space available for innovation, available to think out of the box, design or develop a product which no one has thought earlier. And that's the reason why it remains a challenge. And that in the sense opens up the huge amount of motivation for people to co-create something or develop something which no one has done earlier. And that's the reason why I'll say we are growing, we are in the sense reaching out to people and companies to look into the challenges that they're having and how best we can use our capabilities to solve that. The whole journey of trying to empathetic with the challenges that clients are facing, in the sense enable us to what is called remain ahead of many entities to provide them with the solution that they're seeking. I'll bring the same analogy to or same example to the marathon that Niti Aayog or ATL is coming out with. We need to think out of the box. The normal is not innovation. Things that people have done, things that you can see, feel, smell is not innovation. Things that the path that other people have already walked is not innovation. It's not going to be a challenge. And I always say that, and this is a firm, I'll say something that I firmly believe in, is that when you go out of your comfort area, then only you can experience magic. Magic will never happen when you are comfortable. Just imagine if you really want to feel happy, you need to do something that you're not doing today. If you really want to get excited, you need to do something which in the sense make you move out from the present state in which you are, because and that's the reason why you're seeking happiness. Because if you are happy already, you're not going to seek happiness. You're already happy. But if you're seeking happiness, if you're seeking solutions, then you need to go out from where you are, look for things which is not, I'll say, to start with, which is very comfortable, things for which you don't have the answers right now. That's the reason why those problems still exist. And the whole process of finding those solutions, whole process of doing those treasure hunt, the whole process of finding those riddles where we used to what is called help a mouse get to the food when we were kids. Those were the things which used to give us the excitement and bring it to the present era. Taking those community challenges that people are facing, or my family is facing, or I am facing, or my sister, my brother is facing, and then trying to see whether anyone has created that particular solution or not. If there is no solution, then finding a solution, bringing a smile to the other person is going to be, I'll say, more exciting and more enriching and more satisfying than doing many other things. And that's where I feel companies like ours, so there are many companies in the IT space. That's what we are doing. We are finding happiness every day, because the whole journey is to what is called move out from the comfort zone, experience the magic.
Excellent,
Thank
excellent.
You,
I think that was a fantastic response to and a stimulus to all the young students. And as the saying goes, if you travel on the same road, you will reach the same destination. And you want to reach new destinations. You don't want to reach the same destination. You don't want to be inventing something that has already been invented. So if you want to invent something which is, or innovate on something which is not there and is solving a new problem, you have to travel a different road. And you also mentioned that you have to think out of the box. And thinking out of the box means, not, again, it is not going on the straight lace path, which all of us are used to. step out of it. And then you're suddenly able to realize that there are many opportunities. It's like, say, thinking out of the box is like a frog in the well. The frog in the well, it keeps on jumping from one end of the well to the other, and it asks a new frog which has come from outside, who's out of the box and who has jumped into the well. It says, is your sea as big as this? Then it jumps twice, and it jumps thrice, and it says, no, my sea is much bigger than these 3 jumps that you did. And then the frog says, oh, you're a liar. There is no such possibility in the world. But this is exactly what innovators do. They break out of this mold, they think out of the box, they jump out of the box, and then they suddenly see a world of possible solutions to problems they see. Now, let's take upon this particular point, Nirbhay ji, and I want you to help in creating this magic for these young students, right? So the magic gets created when you think out of the box and you collaborate, because collaboration brings diversity of thought. And when diversity of thought is there, then thinking out of the box becomes easier, right? So we encourage Atal Tinkering Marathon teams to form 4 or 5 team members together to solve a problem. Now, how would you guide a Tinkering Marathon team to think out of the box as well as engineer collaboration to be able to come up with a great innovation? And tell me, and maybe relate to how CGI does it. So when CGI does it in this particular way, we can learn from that, and we can probably share it with the rest.
Sure, Ramna. I think very, very interesting what I heard from Anurag and Elizabeth. I think very, very interesting perspectives. One is the children are inquisitive. The second is, if you are happy, I think nothing you're going to change. I think something that Ramanan also said about, if you travel the same road, you reach the same destination. I think said that, a couple of things that I would like to bring in here. One, the young students do not have any inhibition, and they are here to ask, to seek something that we would have not imagined for sure. Something that we may be wondering, say that, I'm adult, it may not happen, but they do not have that any such inhibition at all. So therefore, that's one trait that is not only triggers the student, I think that's also going to trigger our own employees and the leaders who are going to mentor these students. That's one thing for sure. Instead of not just about asking why, I think it's also about the feasibilities and the possibilities that a problem can be achieved multiple ways. Is something that limitless is one trait that I really see it. I said that the second, I think it's I would also see working with young students, it's more of a reverse mentoring, or I would put it that way. I think more than what we could give to students, I think there's a lot that you can learn from by mentoring the young students. Some of these obvious things that we ask, or we tend not to ask, I think are asked by students. And also, I think we get asked, say that if I'm doing my job the way I've been doing for maybe months or years together, is there any other way of doing? I would see an opportunity not just about working with students, but it's also an opportunity for me as an adult. Can I see things purely from a different perspective? Is the second approach that I would see. The third thing that I really look at it is more from an investment point of view. I think the young students looking at some of these challenges more from what they have been seeing it locally, and also looking at these solutions more from an open sky, blue sky approach, where there are n number of possibilities to address a challenge. Something that I looked at what Ramjee was talking about it. I think there are n numerous possibilities of seeing it. I think the beauty of working with young students also gives that, saying that let's not limit ourselves, saying that being a structured thinking. There are unstructured way of looking at things. There are limitless possibilities, and then connecting with the young students with an employee has potential to looking at we ourselves getting into that mold of thinking, which otherwise we have been structured. The last thing that I always liked working with students is something that I'm sure all of you would agree is the Atal Tinkering Lab itself. You go to any Atal Tinkering Lab, there's a make and break that happens. And the beauty of it, we always try it, we fail, we do, we redo, we test it. The one of the biggest thing that I've learned being part of the Atal Tinkering Labs is whenever we do an actual demo, that's where actually students get the real problems. Everything perfectly works fine till the minute we are not exposed to a real life or to the leader who is coming and seeing it. And the minute I start working with it and stops working it, I think that's where it gives an opportunity for the students to being perseverance, teaches them say that, know what, things do not work the way we think always. It may work till everything is in control, but the things should also work independent of this, the conditions that are there, independent of the people whom we are working with, and independent of the environment that we are part of it. So we need to, the comfort zone that's there, I think gives a beautiful opportunity for us working with students. It's more, I see it, Ramanan, mostly I see more internal, being adults as an opportunity to learn more. Of course, there are always giveaways in terms of soft skills that we can certainly leverage. The technology skills, CGI believes in the advanced technologies. We can certainly look at our own employees and members coming with those advanced technologies and giving them. The third, the biggest is an immersion opportunity for us, for these young students, being part of a corporate, how corporates think about technology, innovation, and how working with the leaders or the innovators, how do they structure their own thinking. We can certainly give opportunity for these students to be part of the immersive learning. And I would say it's more of a mutual learning, mutual collaboration. I think it's going to be a more success story, working together rather than more guidance. I think that way I'd put it, it's a more mutual learning, and really excited to be part of this and see as much as I see from me, it's going to be an exciting journey, and look forward to those teams, whoever it is we are going to work with. We will have as many opportunities of such learning experiences together.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you, Nirbhay. It is such an exciting journey to be part of. I am tremendously excited, even though I'm not a student. Every time I talk to you all, I get even more energized and keep on talking, unfortunately. So, but I think this is a journey for all of us. Much as I would have loved to, we are running short of time. It is almost 5:30. And also, I have to move on to another webinar which I have to speak, and they're already calling me a couple of times. So,
No problem. Yeah, okay.
Hi.
Hi, sir. Welcome to the meeting. Alex has also joined. We will wait for a couple of minutes before we start. I will also, I'm little entering the credentials for going live. I'll make sure that it will be done in 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.